Sure.
Did it work?
That's an awesome statement. That is a statement I hear
Worked
from
every time.
families all the time. There's no it.
Okay.
Biggest misconception.
Okay.
You went to treatment. Did it work? As if it's this singular event. And the it is really just a path that you're on or you're off. And what changed for me is I actually had a few people that helped to save my life and helped me to understand this, looking at it the wrong way. And one person said to me, they said, well, do you want to know what your problem is? And I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, yeah, great. And he said, he said, your addiction isn't really all about just drugs. And I said, well, yeah, it is. Look, I've been on all these treatment programs. He said, you're really addicted to avoiding uncomfortable feelings, things, situations, etc. And that's why no matter what rehab or treatment or church you join, you will redesign their treatment program into a more comfortable version, and you always have.
So
Yeah.
you got off, okay, of the stuff.
Well, I was a binge user, so I was always on
Okay.
for a weeks at a time and then off for months. And it's very frustrating when you have a binge addict because I'm always turning it around.
Okay.
How do you kick somebody out who is sincerely turning it around?
And so there was, and you
that's
want
the
to
thing
hang on
from-
to hope, right?
Yeah, and that's what really had us as a family hang on to hope. Because if you say his addiction was 15 years or whatever it was, more than 50% of that time he was actually technically sober. And Dave talks a lot about that's a measuring stick for us as a family, which is how many days is he sober? Like that is a success or not a success. But him being a binge user and a chronic relapser, it was devastating all the time because we get sucked into hope because either he went to treatment or he went to a meeting today or he got a job today. And when it then train wrecks, all of a sudden we're devastated again. So we just went through he was going through the ups and downs, so were we as a family. Your hope is up real high and then it's smashed down because he used again. And he could have been sober for a month, but if we'd have really looked at the big picture, he still was avoiding his bills. He was still avoiding consequences. He was still avoiding making restitution to people. He was just sober for X amount of days. And us as a family were like, woo, yay, he's been clean for 30 days.
And you're hanging on to hope. You're thinking,
That's all we ever
this
hung
could
on to.
be
And I was
the
sincere.
time. Yeah.
And I was sincere and repentant that I didn't want this to continue. But, you know, there's a saying we say, which is watch the feet, not the mouth. I'm a great speech maker when it comes to please don't kick me out. You know, you can hold on to my paycheck, my car keys, whatever. I'm great in that moment. But what am I really doing? And you know, the sad thing with my family is they were absorbing all my consequences. I wasn't. I lived, you hear that, what a terrible story. 90% of that is consequence free for me. Now, sure, I lost an apartment, but I always get a new one. I lost a job. One magically appeared. They're going to buy me a car, and I'd pay them back over time. Or they are absorbing all my consequences. They reached the bottom before I did. You hear about that, reach the bottom. It's important for the addict
Do you
to reach
remember
the
reaching the
bottom.
bottom? of this?
We reached it time and time again. Like Dave's saying, he got the pleasure of his addiction and we got the pain of it because we felt
But
it.
at some point, did you just kind of say, I'm done with this? I'm
He did
mad
first.
at him?
Yeah, I did first. That's typical for a brother. A mother's not going to be the
What'd you
first
say
one.
to him?
Oh,
Nothing.
nothing. Yeah, I just cut myself out. And that's why I was,
You just cut
especially when
him
he was
off?
in California and stuff, there's a way a brother can cut him off without even saying it because that was just easier for me. I just kind of wrote him off in a lot of ways.
And just
which
said,
is-
"I'm done."
I just
You-
focused on, didn't even have to vocalize that. I just concentrated on school, concentrated on work, concentrated on my girlfriend or my wife, things like that. And it was just easy to disconnect for a while.
So you did eventually get off, right?
Sure, but after you've been through 25 rehabs and
Yeah.
chronic relapse, going to another one ain't cutting it.
Right.
And getting 30 days sober isn't cutting it, and getting 6 months sober. Once I hit that year mark, I think they softened a little bit. But it's really difficult. The addiction splintered our family so bad. My stepdad is mad at my mother for enabling and not kicking him out. My mom is mad at my stepdad. You want to kill him by kicking him out. My brother is mad at my mom for not setting firm boundaries. My brother's resentful because all the attention is on me. He's doing good in his life. He's getting married, and he's a forethought. He's a second thought. Everything is all about David.